beating the man on the right in a best of 7 who gets a 1-0 lead, and game 1 is on Beckett Industries. Sometimes life just doesn't seem very fair, does it? Anyways, in the bottom left side, we are looking at the main base of the 5-time Latin American champion. Will he be dethroned, or will he make it a clean sweep over 2 years? This is Juanito SpeCial.
And over in the top right-hand side of Beckett Industries, we have our blue Zerg player from Team GP. He is Cham. And Kev, just because I know that every single time we get lots of questions throughout the series, why is this player already up 1-0? What happened in game 1 and everything?
What happened in game 1?
Yeah, what happened in game 1? So, for those who are wondering, why does SpeCial start up 1-0? SpeCial and Cham were playing in a double elimination bracket. Cham gets knocked down to the lower bracket first, and then SpeCial stayed in the winner bracket and made his way to the grand final. So SpeCial never dropped a series, whereas Cham did drop to the lower bracket. The reward to SpeCial for never dropping to the lower bracket, never having lost a series, whereas his opponent had, is that he gets to start up in the grand finals 1-0. That is why he's up 1-0. And well, Kev, what is happening in game 1 here?
And I just want to know what happened in game 1. How the hell is he down 1-0? Doesn't make any sense. Now, it seems like SpeCial will keep doing what he has been doing throughout the last few days in this Latin American region, and that is build the depot or in the barracks on the low ground. Seems like we're going to open up with at least 1 Reaper. It's going to be 2 Reapers, so he's going to open up with a few. This is a decent Reaper map. Of course, the rush distance isn't very long, so Reapers are going to make it to the other side of the map very quickly. Even quicker now when the barracks is on the low ground. It's a bit wild to me, and I still don't know if I'm in love with it or not. And I actually don't know if SpeCial would do it against other Zergs too, but yeah, he seems to be very comfortable with it, and he did show us a very sexy defense against roaches with 2 Widow Mines, and then finishing off the roaches that were morphing into Ravages with some Hellions. All of that stuff was very cool, so who am I to doubt SpeCial, but I'm very curious to see if he's still doing it, let's say a month from now.
Yeah, that will be the true test over here. But so far, SpeCial doing a nice job with this Reaper harass, but Cham is also staying on top of it. Hasn't lost any drones just yet. I think finally losing its first Zergling over there. And has his drone hidden away over by the 3rd base, and now has the resources available to take it as soon as he gets the APM to do so as well. He will be able to start that up, and he does, but now he needs to be careful because he's starting to lose some drones.
Yep. Good job there by SpeCial. Nice target fire. Now hops into the main base. Queen's terribly out of position now because they were trying to keep the Reapers at bay. And this is already a lovely start. I don't think Cham is going to be too shaken up by whatever happens on Beckett. I don't think he really expects to beat SpeCial on Beckett. But obviously you don't want to have a disastrous game. And this is turning into a little bit of a disaster. He's losing 6 drones while only killing a single Reaper. Don't think we can be very happy with that.
Yeah, that is definitely not the start that Cham was looking for. He did at least manage to get his 3rd down during all this pretty successfully and pretty early on. That is like one small little blessing he has there, but at the end of the day, the Reapers are also still alive, so there is still a little bit of map presence that they are able to seize control of, especially given that Cham basically, he did get up his Zergling speed eventually and everything, but he doesn't really have a crazy number of Zerglings to contend with 4 Reapers against.
No, I think for Cham right now, I guess the best thing you can do is just make sure you don't lose any additional drones for a little while and try to get that economy up to par. Being down a couple of workers may not seem that bad, but obviously the double orbital is going to give SpeCial a lot of additional income. And that's a quick armory, by the way, with a couple of Hellions in production, medevac on the way. At least Cham does throw down a roach warren, but I have the feeling he's not going to build roaches too early.
I think that's gonna definitely hurt because I'm just imagining this, and there's all the Reapers that stayed alive from earlier on. You combine that with a kind of big Hellbat attack, and that seems really, really scary. Now pile that on with the fact that he's already done a lot of economic damage to Cham, and Cham's gonna be playing a bit further behind from where he would normally want to be. Well, this is looking to be a very, very tough first game for him. But like you said, this is more about can Cham make something different happen on Beckett, not he needs to.
Yeah. Like even 1 or 2 roaches not gonna be enough, and he only has 7 free supply. Losing this overload is a pretty big deal. It's going to temporarily supply block him. There are 5 roaches on the way, but obviously not all of these roaches are gonna be in the same place at once. And this is definitely going from bad to worse for Cham, who does save that one queen, but it's so low on HP. This could very well just be game over, man. This army is so healthy, has a lot of firepower. All right, not if we shoot at the Roach one, obviously. That's where it can go wrong. Special is going to have to clean the target firing up a little bit, but there is so much HP in the army of Special, and Cham just has nothing.
Yeah, more reinforcement Hellions come on forward, and there it is, the tap out. GG gets called. Special's going to take a very quick and clean 2-0 lead in this best of 7 on a map that, frankly, it would have been very problematic or concerning if Special wasn't able to win on Beckett.
Yeah, and then I would have hopped on the bandwagon at Twitch hopping on as well. If Cham ties things up on Beckett, would have been nuts. It's obviously going to have to come with some of the other maps. The next map will probably be Jaga and Netta. I didn't double check it. Now, that's at least the maps that most Zergs like. I don't know if that's really up Cham's alley, but it should be. It's just a good map for Ling, Baines, and Miras. Even though I gotta say, I've seen Clan play some phenomenal games on that map. It will be Jaga, so that's a very important one, of course. If Cham doesn't win that, he trails 0-3, and then it's almost impossible. But I do have pretty high hopes for him on this one. If he just brings that same level as he brought against Kalazur, I believe.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what playstyle he decides to go for, because we're talking a little bit about this, but against Kelazur, all 4 of those games, he was doing something different in every single one of those, whether it be on Blackburn, he was going for that very quick tech up for the Broodlords and everything. He was going for the Roach aggression style, or if he was going for like the Ling Baneling aggression style into Ultras. And then even that 4th game, looking at maybe a little bit more similar to the 3rd game, but still had its own little flares and twists and differences. So that has been something that I think I've really enjoyed today, seeing from Cham, is just the variation that I don't actually think used to really being one of his strong suits in the past.
No, true. There were definitely times where it's like, all right, it's Cham, you know what he's going to do. He's got one build. He's very good with it. But if you kind of blind counter it, you're going to be okay. I think today he showed us that you can't blind counter him because he is willing to switch it up. We can forget about that first game real quick. That's obviously a very difficult map, but this is kind of a must-win for this man who's having a glorious day of StarCraft 2. But can he give it the crowning achievement of his entire career, perhaps? This is Cham.
And down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, the reigning king of Latin America, for good reason. He's damn good. And sitting up 2-0, he is Special. Psystorm Gaming.
Have you seen any other Terrans over the last few weeks go for these wall-offs and everything on the low ground, or has it just been Juanito?
I think I saw a Patrice Zelda try and he lost. Look, I'm answering honestly. He's the only other one I saw try it.
How did it go for Cell? Now I do want to know.
I only vaguely remember, because here's the thing. I love Patrice Zelda's stream. He's got a great stream. He's like a solid, you know, just below Grandmaster level Terran play. But I always bet with the channel points for him to win. So I just remember being robbed of many points because he decided to do something so dumb, and I was just like, God, that was terrible. I think it was like NA ladder, so I think he just got lane flooded or something. It was pretty miserable.
You know what I noticed as well is that almost every single game that I see Special do this, and I know he's been doing it almost every game, he always spawns on the wrong side of the map, on the one where it exposes his add-ons. This is like the 6th time in a row he is actually spawning in a position where obviously if he would have been on the top side, his add-ons would be safe. In the previous game on Beckett, if Special would have spawned at the top right side, his add-ons would have been safe. And he always spawns on the side where his add-ons are very exposed, which is kind of unlucky, but it doesn't seem to bother him.
Yeah, that's definitely unfortunate. I do actually wonder a little bit, if you rearrange this wall in a little bit, like if you put the 2 supply depots next to each other, which is admittedly more vulnerable and stuff, especially if you have a Bane bus like we saw from Cham earlier, I could maybe see there's like a little bit of room where one of the barracks can get far enough south down on Special side that he could maybe get an add-on. But I still get your point. Like, he's still just kind of getting unlucky with the spawns.
Yeah. But perhaps in a weird way, he just kind of wants to be attacked, and he's like, oh, look at this, my add-ons are going to be exposed. If I were you, I would totally do something that's really bad for your economy, and then he just defends it in a flawless manner, and he's like, see, a really good spot. That's kind of what it feels like.
That's the philosophy of the Roddy wall, right?
Pretty much,
Look, this wall looks so terrible. Oh my god, how am I going to be able to defend against Ling run-bys? And they're like, wait a second, why does this Roddy wall suddenly have 4 additional fallback places?
And why do I still take damage? That's the real question. Anyway, the Reapers are finding a little bit of damage in the main. If they hop to the low ground, there are a lot of circlings there. Special Reap control is really good. Throws down a grenade, launches a drone forward. Yeah, this is a lot of damage again. And all 3 Reapers are still going strong.
Those Lings are trying to cut him off. Just barely a half a step too slow to actually catch them, though. Reapers all get out alive and regenerating all those hit points. Now they retreat back home. They got that factory swapping on off to the reactor, which is going to be a little bit exposed, but at the same time, it's like you were saying, it's there's already the tools he needs to defend that reactor. I don't think he's worried immediately about that reactor being targeted.
Nope. And obviously, if Cham would throw away all his Zerglings to kill that reactor, I mean, then you're just giving up all map control, and then you need to make even more units to deal with the additional Hellions that will come out, reactor or no reactor. So I don't think that Cham is willing to trade all his Lings for a reactor here. That'd be kind of crazy.
Well, can at least continue to keep an eye on that productions, which I guess is not normally something you get to do as a Zerg player. You don't usually get to see everything popping out of the factory as it pops out, but well, you can do that since the factory is literally at the front door.
Such a weird build by SpeCial now, with Stim being researched in the natural too, right next to that orbital, but there is a 3rd orbital at home. Cham is already making a lot of roaches though. This is a few more than just the safety roaches we normally make.
Okay.
So it is safe to say that he wants to be aggressive. That is a little bit risky because this is supposed to be the map that's good for him when it comes to a nice macro game. Now you're kind of putting all your eggs in one basket. I don't know if SpeCial saw the roaches there already. He got awfully close, that's for sure. And he should see them real soon. I gotta say, I like what Cham is doing. He's doing a good job in hiding it. SpeCial still doesn't know. I'm taking a look at his vision. Now he sees a roach, and I think he knows exactly what's up. And I wouldn't hate to see a bunker go up in the natural SpeCial.
Yeah, you know, one thing I actually really like about this for Cham is that if all the production's in the natural, you're building the add-ons there. So if the Roach Bust does, you know, there's sometimes the Zerg player will at least be able to force the Terran up to their main base. And ooh, snagging on one of those Hellions is definitely a really nice start. But if you're able to force your opponent up to the main base in a normal situation, your turn player is just going to be like, all right, well, I float my command center up, evacuate my SCVs. All right, we'll just hold the high ground. In this, you lose all of your add-ons and a lot of your production capabilities for a bit. That could actually work out pretty well for Cham if he breaks through.
Yep, Stim is close to finishing up though, and I gotta say that Marine count is looking quite healthy. SpeCial can obviously pull a lot of SCVs here because it doesn't really matter how many he loses. As long as he gets his tank out, as long as he gets Stim, there is one bunker. Cham is still making links behind this. I mean, Cham is incredibly committed here, Dragon.
He absolutely is. He's going to have to try and bust on through. He's going after the bunker. There's not that much surface area to repair it, so it does go down. Ravagers all staying alive. One of the barracks did have to lift off, and it cannot actually reproduce any more of these Marines. There's been a very, very large supply block this entire time. Ling's trying to decide what they want to go around for. Some of them actually attacking the reactor, or sorry, the refinery during all of this, while the Ravagers are getting absolutely roasted and toasted by the Marines. Is he actually doing enough damage over here? I feel like the answer is no, Kevin. Man, I just imagine if a handful more of these Lings were involved in the fight.
I think the answer is nowhere near enough damage, and Cham agrees with us. So he is forced to tap out on the map that's supposed to be good for Zerg, and that was supposed to be a win for him to really make this a close and competitive final. Feels like we're 10 minutes in, and it's already championship point once again for SpeCial.
Oh my god.
I mean, obviously the Reapers did a lot of drone damage, and I can understand that Cham wasn't too happy with it. It really does feel that SpeCial wants you to believe that it's a good idea to attack him with Lings and Roaches, and then he just has enough units to hold. And if you're holding in such a big investment from the Zerg, and you just walk away with the game. It's a home run victory, and very well done by SpeCial. Good scouting, obviously. He saw the Roach a little bit late, but then he still had the correct calls, got a couple bunkers up. And once that first tank is out, obviously as a Zerg, you have to choose. Do I go for the tank or do I ignore the tank? If you ignore the tank, your rush can never work. So if you go for the tank, I mean, that's what allows the Marines to do so much damage on the Ravagers. Feels like it's a lose-lose situation once it's out.
Yeah, man, I am still just imagining, like, the what if worlds where if Cham had been able to get in just a little bit faster, like 5 seconds faster, the Ravager's able to maybe get in range to start corrosive biling down, like the tech lab on the barracks that was actually like within range of corrosive bile from the outside of that wall and everything. Like cancel stim, maybe things look a little bit different, but I mean, there's just so many what ifs that we could do. And obviously a lot of those what ifs didn't happen because SpeCial was prepared. He did end up finding out about that army, and he did actually even meet and greet that army a little bit further out, kind of slowed it down a little bit. So well played overall to SpeCial, but like you said, it's going to be brutal.
I guess one thing we have to point out is that he made a very quick swap back with the barracks, because first the barracks built the reactor, then he put the factory on, but he only made 2 Hellions. I think Cham's build would probably be very good if Juanito would have gone for 4 or 6 Hellions, but since he only made 2, he just had a ridiculously high marine count for that phase in the game, and that was perhaps a bit too much firepower to deal with as a Zerg. Anyways, we have loaded into Oxide. This man is now 1 map away from winning Latin America for the 6th time since we started the DreamHack Masters. He is representing Storm Gaming. It is SpeCial.
Down here in the bottom left-hand side of the map, not giving up hope just yet, even if he's down 0-3. He is, of course, Team GP's Cham. This is definitely, you know, last chance in a lot of ways now, as this is now the point where you can't drop any maps against someone as good as SpeCial.
This is my ultimate moment to make a Fear Dragon joke. You said this is last chance, and I will say no, Fear Dragon. This is the DreamHack Masters winter. The last chance tournament starts in December.
I would have given you a hearty laugh if you had made the joke.
Yeah, would you have picked up on it immediately?
I think I would have, but only because, as I said, the words last chance. The thought did occur to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, last chance is the tournament.
The ultimate Fear Dragon joke. All right, for the first time, Juanito is not going to build a depot and a barracks on the low ground. He is just going to drop the command center there, but the barracks is on the high ground. It's also a single barracks opening. Maybe he feels like it's not necessary, or it's just not good on Oxide. Love to ask him about it. Maybe we can pick his brain apart after the best of 7 if he does end up winning it. But this all looks a little more standard.
Yeah, a little bit more par for the course for what a lot of other Terran players do, which, yeah, it's just interesting because it is one of those maps where I'm like, well, you even get the high ground wall off and everything at the natural, so curious why he doesn't do it, but regardless, it's going to be a good old reactor being built on that barracks after a single Marine. Just that single Reaper. Moving across the map and seeing what damage you can find. But man, Cham, if he takes even just like a little bit more damage than a normal Zerg player takes versus the Reaper, it's going to be eternally scarring, I feel like, for him. The Reapers have been brutal this series.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't even really feel like a series yet, right? Like, it just felt that both games ended before they truly began. Cham does know that if he had a mountain to climb before, he now has the Mount Everest to climb, as he needs to, which is also a mountain, I guess, but it's just a very tall one, to win 4 games in a row. You know, I was just thinking, right? I was chuckling, since we were talking about map or tournament names. It's good that we only have 3 of these a year. Because if we would continue at this pace, we're going to have the DreamHack summer in January, and it really wouldn't make any sense at all. So maybe it's good that we end after winter and then we hop into the last chance tournament.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess the bright side is we'd eventually just loop back around, and eventually we'd hit a point where we were falling so far behind that the seasons are finally lining up again by 2022.
Yeah, probably.
That's what you got to count on.
I mean, I Googled today, when does winter start? And it's like, winter hasn't started yet. We're almost done with a tournament.
Yeah. Winter is no longer... Actually, winter is still coming. And, you know, I was laughing, too, because I think that the way that I think Cats opened up the day, or maybe it was Colaris, was he started off by saying, like, winter is coming. And I'm like, no, winter is still already here. I'm like, no, actually, winter's still coming. We're still waiting. Yeah.
Good news here for Cham. He's actually he's been able to pick off the Reaper, so that is nice. Only lost a single Zergling. Now, that's not game-ending damage, of course, but it's just a little feels good, perhaps a little bit of momentum, and that is definitely what he could use after these previous 2 games. Gets a couple shots off on the Hellions now. It's just important for Cham, I think, to get into a normal mid-game. Like, make sure we have a decent economy, don't supply block ourselves, and let's get a lot of units, and let's make it a game.
Yeah, gets on supply block pretty quickly by the after the Viking killing that Overlord. He has a lot more of those Overlords on the way to give him plenty of room to, you know, play around with that supply. But no Roach Horns or anything on the way over here for Cham right now. He's just getting up that lair. And I'm actually very interested to see if he's going to go back into that sort of Ling Bane style that he was going for very heavily against Kelazur, including on this map.
Yep. I mean, I do think this is a good map to go for this pure Ling Bane, eventually into Hive, into Ultra. Instead, he's going to drop a Roach one, so maybe we'll see some good old mass 1-1 Roaches. Also something that's very powerful on this map, but I do feel that SpeCial is excellent in going up against those styles, because SpeCial can definitely go full Big Ape, and that is just kind of do nothing until you've got 180 supply of 2-2 bio, and then you're going to have the time of your life against Roaches and Ravages.
Yeah, that is definitely going to be a predicament later on if we end up seeing exactly that. But Roach Horn being added on, it's definitely going to cause some questions to arise. I think the other thing I'm interested in seeing is, again, if SpeCial, because like you said, we have it doesn't even feel like we've had like a true series just yet. Is SpeCial going to actually just sit back and kick back a little bit more than Kelazur was doing? And actually just say, yeah, I'm going to just defend a little bit. I'm going to make sure that I have all the setup needed to make sure that you just can't come and do all these counterattacks on me every single time I try and send units your way.
I mean, we have more drones this game than we had in the previous 2 games combined, so I feel like we're on the right track to really have a proper game on our hands. We've got double Evo, but he's only started +1 missile attacks. I hope he doesn't forget about Carapace. A couple of Marines are going to steam forward, though, and the Queen with a lot of energy gets picked up immediately. Second Queen does go down. Where are those Roaches when you need them the most? This is actually looking very bad, man. Another stim forward. I love how decisive SpeCial is here. He picks up all these Zerglings. These Queens are starting to be in not just a bit of trouble, but in all the trouble. We've lost 4 or 5 Queens already. 10 Roaches are in production, and I do think they will allow Cham to stay alive a bit longer, but this is once more just too much damage to take this early on.
I'm going to be the optimist here, Kev, and say that Cham has fallen behind, sure. He fell behind in almost a very similar way versus Kelazur, where it was literally like the 2-1-1 drop that did a lot of damage, killed a lot of his Queens and everything. Is he able to bounce back from that? I think this is going to be a little bit rougher for him to bounce back from, but we'll see. You know, he's still got a good worker count at least going for him.
Yeah, but that game he didn't make any Evo chambers. He just spammed Roaches and Ravages, and then he doubled the army supply. This game he did drop 2 Evo chambers. He did go up to 4 bases. He only has +1 missile attacks on the way. This could very well be a game-ending push. Even if these Marines don't have combat shield yet, Liberators are even showing up, so the Ravages are going to try to take care of that. But these Roaches are in all sorts of trouble on the left side, even against these Marines without combat shield. The Marines are so powerful. They have a lot of firepower. Ravages will get blown up by the tanks. I believe 1 tank did get picked up there. Another stim is going to bring a lot of these Marines low on HP, but geez, and SpeCial is just dominating.
It's actually just brutal to watch. The King of Latin America says, simmer down, child. You are not ready to take this throne. As he continues to batter Cham back. Cham is going to try and push in. He's got some Roaches on the right-hand side to try and take out some of those Siege tanks. But these Roaches just unable to get the damage done. The Roaches on the left-hand side are now getting obliterated by the remaining tanks. And SpeCial is just continuing to reinforce incredibly casually, incredibly calm, incredibly calculated as he continues to push on forward, taking out the Ravager eggs, taking out the hatchery, and just looking like an unstoppable force right now.
Yep, and Cham obviously never starting that Carapace means that even when the Roaches do finally have the +1 missile attacks, they're still gonna die relatively quick against Marines, against Marauders. The drones are being pulled. That might be enough to kill a couple of the tanks on the left, but obviously the damage has already been done. You never really want to be on even bases against the Terran, even though this obviously the 30C is very late, and Cham is actually gonna get that tank too. He is going to push it back. I mean, SpeCial 3CC has only just now started. So it's a hold. It's a very painful one, but it is a hold.
Yeah, you know what's funny to me also, Kev, is that Cham is down to 50 workers, but he kept the base alive. And also, not only that.
Oh, what?
Yeah, the base didn't die. It went down to like 50 hit points. But Cham also just at the very end of the engagement, like the entire army was cleaned up. He had 17 Roaches still in production. Yeah, so he's made all of these units, and now he's going to want to go do something with them, and he's still making Roaches right now.
I mean, there is still an issue, and that is that it's very hard to deal with medevacts that are going to bounce all over the place, because this is not a game where we have a Spire, and let's not forget about the 5 or 6 queens even that we lost early on. The fact that he helped is awesome. The fact that we're 2 workers behind is less awesome, but then somewhat okay, because SpeCial's 3rd orbital was very late. I still think the fact that we forgot Carapace is a big deal, and I don't know if he's aware of it.
Yeah, also getting another one of those little supply blocks there as he is firing up 6 Overlords to unsupply block himself. But these roaches, I mean, they can do a damn good job of denying a 3rd base from being easily established, at least for a little bit. And these drops, though, like you said, they were going to be very annoying. Tunneling Claws and Burrow going to be coming on out. And I mean, hey, if you have 28 roaches running around the map, then yeah, that might actually be one of the few ways you can try and get damage done. The only question I have here, Kev, is until the 3rd base is actually fully established and everything, you're going to have a very hard time getting run-bys and counter-attack damage done to a Terran player that's still just on 2 bases.
Yep, and look at that turret even going down on the low ground. Seems like SpeCial was watching the games that Cham was playing against Skelazur, and he perhaps just knows that he is quite fond of roaches with Tunneling Claws. Cham does find himself a tank there. That's kind of cool. We want to make sure we don't lose too many roaches in the process of picking off a single tank, but it is a bit of damage. He does finally start up Carapace and also starts up +2 missile attacks. We have a little drop happening though, and this drop is actually very successful because some of these units were bottled up a little bit between the extractor and the evolution chamber. All the roaches on the top side get caught as well, and I feel like there's a lot of firepower in the army of SpeCial. I'm actually surprised SpeCial didn't want to take that fight, because I felt like he was going to win it, but instead he will just deal more damage with only 5 or 6 Marines. But these Marines are paying for themselves.
Yeah, I wonder if he thought that there was maybe some more roaches heading his way or something, is going to get just flanked by them if he stuck around too long. But regardless, both the players get out of there with their armies still alive and intact. The Liberators having some trouble finding too much more damage. Able to find 5 workers alongside the medevac drop, and the medevac comes back in. He's going to be able to find a few more workers.
Wow. There is 1 queen, which means it's almost impossible to ever clean up these drops. We have 2 spore crawlers, 1 queen. That's all the NTR we have currently. So these medevacs can just pick up and unload all over the place. They can never stop. Liberators are doing their best in keeping Cham busy, I guess, in the main. This base is wide open for the taking. Liberator's going to siege up as well. That's 14 drones going down. This hatchery will actually fall, unlike that other one. Spore crawler goes down 2 in the process, and it just feels everywhere we look, SpeCial is booking little victories, and I have no idea what Cham is supposed to do about it at this point.
The 1 Cyclone, not even going to waste the lock on. Oh my god, he have 5 hit points!
If Cham wins this game, we're going to write books about this hatchery.
Oh my god, that 1 hatchery. Okay, the 2 Marines in the medevac are surely going to go for the kill in the hatchery, right?
Oh, yes. But there's a queen!
Oh, the queen! Oh, no.
Still gets it. I think that was the most exciting moment of this best of 7 so far.
That might actually be the case. Roaches are going to get picked off over here. There is the burrow being revealed with Tunneling Claws. The scan comes on out. Cham falling behind in supply on a roach-based army is the ultimate sign of how far behind he's now fallen.
Yep, and obviously he's technically a 2-base Zerg because he lost the hatchery at 9 o'clock as well, and losing the triangle finally. He does have a Spire on the way. He does have a few Infestors on the way, but the army of Cornito is so much more powerful than the army of Cham. Maybe he can force SpeCial to turn around if he launches a little counterattack with his roaches that are currently burrowed somewhere, but I have the feeling that SpeCial doesn't want to do any turning around. He's going to find a lot of drones in transit too. That's 14 workers going down very quickly. And I'm afraid that this one is all over. I think for the 6th time in a row, SpeCial will be the king of Latin America when it comes to the DreamHack Masters.
Yeah, cute moves over here from Cham. The Burrow Tunneling Claw Roaches trying to sneak past the SCV block. But at the end of the day, it's going to be just a little bit too much. Even with killing all of those workers, SpeCial is up quite a bit. And there it is. GG gets called. SpeCial is once again your DreamHack SC2 Masters Latin America champion.